उद्घाट्य योगकलया हृदयाब्जकोशं धन्यैश्चिरादपि यथारुचि गृह्यमाणः यः प्रस्फुरत्यविरतं परिपूर्णरूपः श्रेयः समे दिशतु शाश्वतिकं मुकुन्दः. This is actually a shloka written by Appayya Dikshita in his Varadarajastavam. He has written a stotram called Varadarajastavam. There is one written by Deshikar also, Vedanta Deshika, but Appayya Dikshita has also written, so this seems to have been found in that. So anyway, Amari Kabari Bhara Brahmari Mukari Kritam Duri Karotu Duritam Gauri Charana Pankajam Paraspara Tapassampat Paraspara Phalayito Prapancha Mata Pitaro Pranchau Chayapati Stumaha. We're looking at the Aparamudaharanam for Upama alankara, which is Gunadosho Budho Grandhanna. Gunadosho Budho Grandhanna Indukshveda Viva Ishvaraha Shirasa Shlaghate Purvam Parankanthe Niyachati. So we were starting to look at the vritti that was there, but there were a lot of at least two things that we need to know first before we move on. One is the Bimba Pratibimba Bhava, the other is Abheda Adhyavasaya. These are two things that he mentions it. This is a technical term as far as Alankara Shastra goes. Bimba Pratibimba Bhava is also the same as what we use in Vedanta, in the sense that there is a bimbam, and bimba is something like when we look at the darpanam, when we are standing in front of a mirror, the reflection is called the pratibimba, because there is a mirror and the mirror is reflecting the object that is in front. The object gets the samjna of bimba. The object otherwise, or me, for example, I will not be called a bimba unless there is something, there is a pratibimba, right? It is a correlation, correlative term. If one is absent, then this cannot be called as a bimba. The one in the darpanam cannot be called as a pratibimba unless there is an object which can be reflected in that mirror. Okay, so this is the idea that alankarikas take and explain in alankara also. There are two dharmas which are actually different. See, the first example that we saw was Hamsiva Krishnate Kirtihi Swarganga Mavagahate. There we saw that it was very simple, as in there is one Upamana, there is one Upameya. These two seem to have the same dharma, which is a Samana dharma. There is only one dharma. Now, in this shloka, Gunadosho Budho Grundanna, there are many dharmas here. So in the explanation that he gave, he said two of those are in Bimba Pratibimba Bhava, the other is in Abheda Adhyavasaya. When we don't know what it is, then it will be difficult to understand how these become the Samana Dharma. So there are two different dharmas, that is the Upamana Dharma is different, Upameya Dharma is different, but there is a similarity between the two in the way they are expressed in the shloka. Even though they are different, they are taken differently, but they are taken as if they are same. Abhinnayoho pritak upadhanam paraspara sadrishyat. So this is the definition of Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. Bhinnayoho Upamana Upameya Dharmayoho Upamana Dharmascha Bhinnaha Upameya Dharmascha Bhinnaha Vartate. Tatra Ubhayoho Paraspara Sadrishyat. There is a similarity between the two in the way that it is expressed in the shloka. Because of that similarity, we treat it as abhinna, as non-different. Yet, it is said separately. Okay? Like in Vedanta, when we talk about how Bimba Pratibimba Bhava happens, we talk about Jiva and Brahma as different. A lot of you have a basic introduction into Advaita, right? We talk of Brahma and Jiva as different, but they are non-different. Sadrishyate, paraspara sadrishya, but they are different in the sense that the upadhi is different. Correct? If you can understand this. I understand the original, I don't understand the example. Now, forget the Vedanta example. It's very similar to that is what I'm trying to say. Now, the next thing that he says is Abheda Adhyavasaya. First, we will know what the meaning of this, and then we will see how it applies to the shloka. Abheda adyavasayah is not bhedasya adyavasayah, abheda adyavasayah, na bheda adyavasayah. It is more like abheda grahanam. Bheda agrahanam. It is not abheda grahanam. You are not trying to understand the non-difference, but you do not have the knowledge of the difference. That's how it is. So bhedaha ityukte, there is a difference. Adhyavasayah, if you look up dictionary definition for adhyavasaya, it will tell you nischayah, or it will give you something like buddhi purvaka nischayah iti, or determination, effort, adhyavasayah. That and all will not work here. It is only jnanam, nischaya jnanam. So bhedasya nischaya jnanam iti bheda adhyavasayah. Bhedasya yadi nischaya jnanam nasti tarhi abheda adhyavasayah. Okay, you are unable to grasp the difference between the two because there is only one word that is given. Okay, let's go to the shloka now and see how it applies. Then we will go to the text. Okay, something very simple that we think is the Upameya is Buddha, an intelligent person. So Buddha guna dosha grinhanna. He takes both the guna, quality, and dosha. Like Ishvaraha eva. So which means Upameya, that whom we want to describe now, Prakritam, would be the Buddha or the intelligent person. He becomes the Upameya. Varnyaha. Upamanam is your standard of comparison. You are comparing an intelligent person to Ishvara, Parameshwara. So he becomes the Upamanam. We have the Padam Iva here. Right? Indukshvedau Iva Ishvaraha. So Iva becomes your Upama Vachaka Shabdaha. Normally, we would take Sadharana Dharma as one, like in Swarga Gamanam, Hamsiva Krishnate Kirtihi, Swargangam Avagahate, Swargangam Avagahate, Swarganga Avagahanameva, that becomes your single Sadharana Dharma in that. Okay. In that manner, if you look at the shloka, we will probably think that Grinhan alone is the Sadharana Dharma. But actually, there are many Sadharana Dharmas in this shloka. That is the uniqueness of this Aparam Udaharana. So usually, when there is an Udaharanam that is given, which follows an older example, like say from Chandraloka or any other popular example, when Appayya Dikshita has given another example, usually there is a Vishesha there. There is something different in that. So what is the difference here? When compared to the original, which had only one Sadharana Dharma, we have several Sadharana Dharmas here. So what are all those? First, we will look at two different things. There is a Gunaha, Doshaha, in the Buddha Vishaya. That is a Buddha, an intelligent person, Gunam cha grinhati, Dosham cha grinhati. Yatha, Ishvaraha, Indum grinhati, Kvedam cha grinhati. Kvedaha tu atra Visham. So he takes both. Now what happens here? These are two different things, but these are again Sadharana Dharma. Now remember, what is the definition of the Bimba Pratibimba Bhava that we saw? Bhinnayoho dharmayoho. There is a Upamana Upameya dharmayoho. The dharma which is there in the Upameya is Gunaha, Doshaha. There are two different qualities in the Upameya. There are also two different qualities in the Upamanam, which are not the same that is there in the Upameya. Swarganga Avagahanam tu tatra kirtehe api vartate. Hamsyaha api vartate. But here, what is happening? In the Upameya Paksha, we have two dharmas that are being mentioned, which is Guna and Dosha. In the Upamana Paksha, you again have two dharmas, which are Indu and poison. Now, these two are totally different, but the way they are expressed in the shloka, Gunadosho Budho Grinhan Indukshvedau Iva iti. So just as how buddhaha gunam cha dosham cha grinhati tata ishvaraha api chandram visham cha grinhati. Tari paraspara sadrishyat. So there is a sadrishyam between this set of words. Gunasya indoho cha tatra paraspara sadrishyam vartate. Doshasya cha vishasya kshedasya cha paraspara sadrishyam vartate. Because of that common similarity that exists between these two in the way they are expressed in the shloka, it is like a reflection and its object. Okay. So these exists in bimba pratibimba bhava, even though they are bhinna dharma, but they are connected by one single word. So that is what is grinhan. Okay. Now what happens here? There are three things that are actually common sadharana dharmas. Sadharana dharma, we said, has to be the same in both the upamana and the upameya. It need not be. Now we have moved on from that stance and we have said that even though they are different dharmas in upameya and upamanam, still because of the sadrishyam, they can exist in bimba pratibimba bhava and be a samana dharma in this case. Now you look at these three kriya. Shirasa grinhan, shirasa shlaghate, and kanthe niyachati. These are common for both Buddha and Ishvara. These are not different. So it is the same upameya gataha dharmaha api grahanam vartate. Upamana gataha dharmaha api grahanam. Shirasa shlaghanam purvam. पूर्वस्य शिरसा श्लाघनं तु तत्र उपमेये अपि विद्यते उपमाने अपि विद्यते कंठे नियमनं तु तत्र उभयत्रापि विद्यते. Correct? Now these are going to exist in abheda adhyavasaya. That is why he brings up
plain kanthe niyamana.
Kanthe கழுத்துல வைக்கிறதுன்னு அர்த்தம். You are controlling it in the throat. So paramங்கிறது indicates visham. So what does Buddha do? An intelligent person keeps the second one, which is the dosha. So this dosham he takes and he places it inside his throat. He does not let it out through vak. Kshvedaha, the visham, Ishvara places it in his throat and he does not bring it out also. Is that clear? Okay.
Amazing, yeah.
Now what is happening with these three words? Eka shabda upadanat. Only one shabda is being said here. All these three are common to both the upameya and the upamanam, which means we are going to understand a non-difference. That is, there is no that there is a difference is not expressed in the shloka. भेदस्य तत्र निर्वचनं तु श्लोकेन विद्यते यतः तत्र एकमेव पदं विद्यते. See, even though there is a difference, let's say an intelligent person சொல்லணும்னா he takes both guna and dosha. Does that take mean literally physically taking in hand? No, there is a difference. But in the shloka with the word grinhan, we don't see the difference there. We don't understand the difference there. That is why he says abheda adhyavasaya. Any questions so far?
Now the word grinnan, as far as Shiva is concerned, it's a physical taking in the story.
Yes, we are coming to that. Until now, I'm asking if there is any doubt. Until now, we will go to that.
Like when you said, until now, meaning eka shabda upadanat means I thought you meant to say grahanam iti eka shabdam eva tatra asti tasya arthadvayam asti iti.
अर्थद्वयं तु वर्तते एव, किन्तु तत्र अर्थद्वयम् अर्थे एव तत्र विद्यते, न तु शब्दोपादानम्.
तस्मात् एकशब्द उपादानम् इति.
Yes. Okay.
So that's what I mean. I don't think I'm going ahead. I'm right.
Okay, fine, sure.
So that's so you're saying the key is in the word grahanam. As long as we have the word grahanam, I think we get it right.
Yeah.
Grahanam kartavyam iti.
So gunasya grahanam arthasya eva grahanam aduna pratamam. So there is only one word here. இதுல நடுவுல chatல வேற யாரோ கேக்குறா. Unmute பண்ணியே கேளுங்கப்பா. எனக்கு வந்து to go between the chat and all this, it's getting tough.
Okay. Mahodaya, Vedanta Shastre, Adhyasa means Brahma kind of meaning, right?
Brahma kind
Adhyasa and Adhyavasaya rendu
Vera.
That's what I'm trying to ask. Here,
No.
Adhyavasaya, so it means firm knowledge.
Yes.
Just Adhyasa means it's a Brahma.
Brahmam. Ama. Brahmam. அது
So
இல்ல
that
அது
Ama
அத்யா
makes the difference.
அது வேற மீனிங்
Superimposition.
Superimposition. Yeah.
Superimposition.
Not Brahma. It's more like an aropa kind of stuff.
I think the word Adhyavasaya comes from this dhatu show antakarmani, to decide. Like, so nishchita jnanam iti vaktum shakyate, whereas adhyasa is as dhatu, like as to place.
Placing on top.
Completely different word.
Yeah. Okay. Any other doubts so far? Okay, let's move on then. Now what is happening to this grahanam, shirasa shlaghanam and kanthe niyamanam eka shabda upadanat abheda adhyavasayah. So what here happens is you have two meanings for it, even though these are the words, but there are two different meanings, and the meanings are different for the upameyagataha and the upamanagataha. That is why you have to bring in the abheda adhyavasaya. Even though there is only one word, grahanam, upameye tu jnanam. Gunam and dosham, you cannot physically take it, but it is just understanding. You are exposed to the knowledge of both the good qualities and the bad qualities in a person. Whereas in the Ishvara Paksha, he actually physically takes the Indu and Kshveda. When you take Shirasa Shlaghate Purvam, he places it on his head. That is literal. I think I made a mistake here. These two should come here. The Vahanam and Samsthapanam actually should come to the Upamanagatam. Whereas Abhinandanam and Vacha Anudghatanam should come to Buddha Vishaya. Okay, make the change, please. So what happens here is Shrirasa Shlaghanam ityukte Shira Kampanena or something like that. You're shaking your head and saying, praising the person, and you are actually the intelligent person takes on the qualities, even if it is a little bit, and he makes a huge praise about it. Then Paraguna Paramanuna Parvati Kritya Nityam iti Niti Shatake Vartate. Someone who takes on, even if it is a Paramanu kind of guna that is there in another person, he makes it into a mountain and praises the other person. But if it is a dosham, he places it in his throat, in the sense Vacha Anudghatanam. He does not bring it out through words. It does not come out at all. That is, he doesn't gossip about that person. So that is kanthe niyamanam, controlling it within yourself. Now for upamana, it becomes the meaning of shlaghanam takes on the meaning of vahanam, or carrying it literally. The other is samsthapanam, kanthe niyamanam. He just places it in his throat and he does not let it out of his mouth. Okay, so these two are in bimba pratibimba bhava, whereas these three are eka shabda upadanat bheda agrahanam. There is a bheda, there is a difference with respect to upamana and the upameya, but that bhedam is not clearly seen in the shloka. Is that clear? Okay,
It's very clear. It's I mean, the explanation is very clearly laid out. I don't think I have ever seen such a clear explanation before. It's a very, very tough to understand concept, honestly. It's awesomely explained, especially the fact that you explained what Abheda Adhyavasaya is. It is it's a ninth Purusha, right? As opposed to Abhedasya Adhyavasaya, it is Abheda Adhyavasaya na iti. So
that is the clue there. See, because when you take it as abhedasya grahanam, there is no abheda there. It is actually bheda.
Yeah. And so by your table, so there are three different, apart from the dharma which was previously said in the top in your table, right? But the
ஒரு
table.
நிமிஷம். I'll just change that. இது தப்பா
Table.
புரிஞ்சுக்கிறாங்க.
Okay.
வரேன். I'll just change that. இல்லைன்னா அது
Yeah.
Mother, in the exam, these example shlokas sometimes have more than one alankara. Other than the section under which it comes, it has some
Yes.
extra alankaras also.
Yes.
We don't have to mention all that in the exam.
You don't need to mention at all.
If it's a upama, only upama, that's all we have to say.
That
When
is enough.
explaining the shloka,
Like for
we don't have to
example,
say.
for here you have yatireka dhvani. See, a
Yes.
normal person will behave in a different manner when compared to an intelligent person. He will immediately talk to everybody else about the doshas that are there. He will be so jealous that he will not talk about the good qualities that are there in a person. That sort of a Vyatireka Alankara is also seen here. When everybody were there, it was only Ishvara who went and picked up the Visham. You know, that sort of a Vyatireka is definitely there, but it is Dhvani. You don't need to write all those.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are three Sadharana Dharmas, right? One is the Grahanam, one is the Shirasa Shlaganam, and one is Kante Niyamanam.
Totally 5.
எப்படி 5 எப்படி
குணஹா தோஷஹா அதுதான் சொன்னேன். See, you also have gunadoshav indukshvedav. These two are bhinna dharma, but it is in bimba pratibimba bhava. This is also a sadharana dharma, but there is a sadrishyam and bimba pratibimba bhavam between these two.
But there is no Eka Shabda Upadanam in this case.
No Eka Shabda Upadanam. Whereas these three, you have Eka Shabda Upadanam.
But
So
there's no Bimba Pratibimba Bhava in the second case.
In the second case, no Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. So totally, if you look at it, there are 5 Sadharana Dharmas.
So in the second group, the Sadharana Dharma is grasping Grahanam or Shlaganam or Niyamanam, which is clear. But in the first group, the Sadharana Dharma is similarity. Like what essentially is Sadharana Dharma? Like for example, if I say
it is common to both cases.
Common to both cases. So in the case of Grahanam is common to both cases. We can do that. But in Gunaha and Induhu, there is no such similarity.
That is why he says there is a bimba pratibimba bhava there, and there is a similarity between the two in the sense that it is a better object, something that is more pleasing to people. Guna is always pleasing, dosha is always not pleasant to people. The same way Visham is also not pleasant to people. So there is a sadrishyam between the two objects there.
Okay.
And so they are the dharma, common dharma between the two.
Yoho dharmayoho bimba pratibimba bhavena sadharana dharmatvam.
Okay.
So meaning sadhutvam or parapedanam, அது வந்து it's more of an implied kind of
yes.
thing.
Ama. You take that sadhutvam as a similarity between these two, and hence you take it as the sadharanam. Correct.
Okay.
Drinking the poison to protect, right? So it becomes like a superior quality.
அது வேணா நம்ம சொல்லிக்கிறோம், அதெல்லாம் வந்து பக்தியில வந்துரும், இங்க வராது. அது வந்து நீங்க பக்தியில போட்டுக்கணும். See, நமக்கு இங்க என்ன பண்றோம்? He takes that as a விஷம். நீங்க சாப்பிடுவேடா மாட்டோம் ஒல்லு. சோ இந்த ஸ்லோகத்தை பொறுத்த வரையில் அதை தோஷமாதானே நம்ம எல்லாருமே கருதுறோம். அது பகவான் குடிக்கிறது நமக்கு வந்து ப்ரொடெக்ட் பண்றதுங்கிறது பக்தி பார்ட். That doesn't come with comparison between that doesn't even say that it is good ன்னு நம்ம சொல்ல முடியாது. It's not a guna just because he drinks it and it becomes good for us. அது வேற இல்லையா? விஷம்ங்கிறது விஷம் தானே, அதை மாத்த முடியாது.
So one quick thing, I think I'm slightly trying to struggle with this.
Sure.
The concept of upadanam as it stands is to say what are we acquiring. Yeah.
உபாதானம் தானே, இந்த உபாதானம் தானே அப்படின்னா you are taking it physically, grasping னு அர்த்தம், accepting, ஸ்வீகரணம்.
ஸ்வீகாரம்.
Okay.
எங்க டவுட் உங்களுக்கு?
No, I'm trying to parse this eka shabdo.
Oh, inge. Okay. Here also it is the same thing. Eka shabda upadanam tu shloke vartate. Upadanam here again is grahanam eva. So in the grahanatha utrungo. Don't look at the table here. This eka shabda upadanam is there is only one shabda that is mentioned in the shloka here. So there is only one shabda that is mentioned. Upadanam anga vandu you take it as suchanam or swikaranam. Ekaha eva shabdaha tatra swikriyate shloke. Sacha shabdaha tasya shabdasya bhedaha vidyate. Kintu adavadu upameyagataha अन्यः धर्मः, उपमानगतः अन्यः धर्मः वर्तते. But you are unable to grasp that difference because there is only one word that is mentioned in the shloka.
I'm completely lost. Just a second, madam. Go slow. Sorry.
I'm
sorry for the rest of the class. What are we really trying to say here? I can understand.
Dharmam enna
Laganam and Anteniyamanam. These two have two different
meanings.
Similarities in the context of a Buddha and Ishvara. Correct? Abhinandanam versus whatever, right? What is this? What are we trying to say when you say Eka Shabdopadanat? What is the...
Sorry, adu udungo. Ninga adu utrungo. Now, basic, go back to the basic. What are we looking at here? Upama alankara. உங்களுக்கு ஒரு உபமேயம் வேணும், உபமானம் வேணும். There should be an upama vachaka shabda. மூணு வந்துருத்து. புத்தஹ ஈஸ்வரஹ இவ. Done. Now we have to look at sadharana dharmas. What is the commonality? Why are we comparing an intelligent person to the Ishvara?
Yes.
What are the commonalities here? அதுக்கு தான் we have listed out.
Guna dosha ரெண்டு இருக்குங்க.
அந்த குண தோஷா வந்து is only there in the case of Buddha. Induhu Kshvedaha is there only in the case of Ishvara. Correct. So how do these two become sadharana dharma when they are two different dharmas? They are not the same. Appa enna pandrom? No. Just as how gunaha is a good quality, Induhu is also has a pleasing quality. Because of this sadrishyam, this becomes a commonality between Buddha and Ishvara. The same applies for dosha and Kshveda.
Correct. So the bimba pratibimba bhava is very clear.
Super. Now the next one is there are also three more things which seem to be common to Buddha and Ishvara. Buddha gunadosha ugrinhan purvam shirasa slagate param kanthe niyachati. Ishvaraha indukshveda ugrinhan shirasa shlagate purvam param kanthe niyachati. We seem to be taking these three words on both the upamana case and the upameya case. எடுத்துக்கிறோமா இல்லையா? அந்த மூணுமே இப்ப என்ன ஆயிடுறது? These three become the commonality between the Buddha and Ishvara. So they should also essentially be the sadharana dharma. But eka shabda upadanam, which means we have only used one shabda as the sadharana dharma for both the upameya and the upamanam. So eka shabda upadanam atra vartate.
அந்த ஒரு பாயிண்ட் புரியல. What does it mean by that? What do you mean by that?
ஒண்ணு ஒரே ஒரு வார்த்தையை தானே சொல்லிருக்கோம். ஏக சப்தம்னா மூணு சப்தம் சொல்லிருக்கோமேங்காதீங்கோ, அப்படி எடுத்துக்காதீங்கோ. ஏக சப்த உபாதானாத் கிரகணம் இது ஏக சப்தம், சிரசா ஸ்லாகனம் இது ஏக ஏவ சப்தः, கண்டே நியமனம் இது ஏக ஏவ சப்தः, கிந்து தத்ர அர்த்தத்வயம்.
ஓகே, காட் இட்.
அதான் பிரச்சனையா? சரி, நான் என்னமோ கான்செப்டே பிரச்சனைன்னு நினைச்சேன். ஓகே, டன். சரியா?
Everywhere it is eka shabda upadanam eva kalu. Vagarthaviva sampraktau tatrapi sampraktvatvam is the commonality, sadharana dharma, right?
Yes.
So commonly we have eka shabda upadanam eva kila.
Eka shabda upadanam tu tatra vartate, kintu tatra अभेद अध्यवसायः नास्ति सम्पृक्तौ इति वाक् अर्थः च यथा सम्पृक्तौ सर्वदा तत्र वर्तते so there is no need for a different meaning for सम्पृक्तत्वम् being together means वाक् च अर्थश्च यथा सर्वदा they are together in the same way Parvati and Parameshwara are always together. The meaning of samprakta is the same in both Upameya Paksha and Upamana Paksha. In that case, here we are talking of different meanings. So we have to bring in the concept of Bheda Agrahanam. Okay.
Okay. Clear.
Okay.
So the meanings are physical grasping versus the understanding of a guna and dosha. The understanding is also called upadana, the grahanam for the Buddha, for the wise man. He understands the guna and the dosha as opposed to Shiva, who's physically taking the Indu and the Kshveda. So
yes,
what grahanam has two different meanings as opposed to vagartha sampriktau. We just mean mixed or
only one. Mishranam ityeva tatra.
Or even in avagahanam, we just mean the swan reaches reaches the Swarganga, just as Krishna's fame reaches the Swarganga.
Swarga. There is no different meaning for the sadharana dharma. So we don't need to go to this at all in those cases.
Okay. In this shloka, it is Beda Agrahanam. But is there some other example where it is Abheda Grahanam?
அப்படிலாம் வரவே வராது. The mean எல்லாம் கிடையாது. நமக்கு வந்து அபேத அத்தியவசாய is a technical concept which you have to understand as there is a difference, but you are unable to physically see the difference in the shloka. You can only go to it in the
concept and all.
அதெல்லாம் தெரியாது. அதெல்லாம் அங்கங்க context wise you will have to look at that. Okay. So when you read the paragraph here, which is just completely mixed up in the table, separate it is just completely mixed up into one big sentence here. That's all. So atra buddhaha upameyam, ishvaraha upamanam, ivashabdaha vachakaha, sadharana dharmaha tu upamana upameyayoho naikaha. There are many sadharana dharmas which are common to both Upamana and Upameya. And how are they common? That is what we have seen in two different ways. Kintu Upamana gatayoho Chandra garalayoho, Garalam Visham Kshvedaha, Induhu Kshvedaha, Tayoho, Upameya gatayoho Gunadoshayoho, Bimba Pratibimba Bhavena Abheda Adyavasayat. There is a Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. And so you are you take Abheda Adyavasaya here also. It's not only in this. What are the two cases with which you are trying to see the Sadharana Dharma as the same? There is a Sadrishyam, hence you think these two are same. Instead of putting an Abheda Adyavasaya here, you can just say Bimba Pratibimba Bhavena. That itself is enough to. Tatha Upadana Jnanayoho. Jnanam is Buddha-paksha. Upadanam is in the Ishwara-paksha. Grinhan iti ekapada upadanena. Because there is only one word, Grinhan, given in the shloka. But there are two meanings. And those two meanings are Abheda Adyavasaya. We don't see the difference in the shloka. Abheda Adyavasayat Sadharana Dharmata Parikalpyate. So not only for Grinhan, you can have the Sadharana Dharma for both Shirasa Shlaghanam and Kanthe Niyamanam also in the same manner. Clear? Tasmat atra Purnopama eva. Vastutaha Bhinnayoho api Upamana Upameya Dharmayoho Paraspara Sadrishyat Abhinnataya Adhyavasitayoho Prithak Upadanam Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. This is your definition of Bimba Pratibimba Bhava. What is the definition? Bhinnayoho Upamana Upameya Dharmayoho. Upamana Dharmastu atra induhu kshvedaha cha. Upameya dharmaha gunaha doshaha. Paraspara sadrishyat. There is an sadrishyam, similarity between the two. So abhinnataya, because of that similarity, you are taking it as non-different. And in the sense, abhinnataya adhyavasitam. It is as if you are taking it as non-different. But it is different. So pritak upadanam, but you are placing it as different. That is gunadoshau iti anyat padam. Indukshvedau iti anyat padam. Two different words are being mentioned in the shloka. Clear? So bimba pratibimba bhava. Next is lupta.
So the ekashabda upadanam, as opposed to the bimba pratibimba bhava in your table, they are kind of achieving the same goal through opposite means, where you don't have ekashabda upadanam for the gunadosha and indukshveda. You actually pritak padam is there. However, we are unable to tell the difference between the two. It's abheda adhyavasaya. And then in the second case, we have only ekashabda upadam, only one word, but we have two different meanings. But however, we have only one word. Therefore, we have again abheda adhyavasaya. So abheda adhyavasaya is achieved through two different ends.
Two different means.
In two different means, not ends. Two different
one
means.
Is bimba pratibimba bhava. The other is ekashabda.
Ekashabda upadanam. So two methods of achieving abheda adhyavasaya. So I mean, it's a brilliant example. Like it's amazing what he's done.
Now, if there is a case where there is more than one either upamanam, upameyam and all, there see, we have only one dharma in here, we are doing it like that. So when we have multiple, like a shloka where you have multiple upamana being compared to one upameya or vice versa, there also can we have the eka shabda thing?
Anything.
Or
we saw in Yadavabhyudaya.
Yes.
Tapartaha Tadakam iva tapartaha. I think in that shloka we saw how there are different dharmas and there are different upamanas for the same thing. Yeah. Malopam.
So there also this kind of thing comes into play.
Yeah, definitely this can come into play, and it depends. You have to analyze it based on this. So malopamana, you start off with the basic. Always start off with identifying which is what is being described, upameya. Then you go on to what is being compared, upamanam. You see there are so many different upamanams. Then immediately you say it is malopama. That is the first identification. Then you will have to refine it. You will have to look at whether there is the upama vachaka shabda or not. If eva is present, then yes, there is an upama vachaka shabda. Look at the sadharana dharma. Are there one sadharana dharmas or many sadharana dharmas? Are there different sadharana dharmas for each of those upamanam? Then it is a bhinna sadharana dharma malopama. If there is only one sadharana dharma, but there are many different upamanams, then you will have abhinna sadharana dharma malopama. The mother, you have to keep on refining your definition and divisions as you analyze the shloka. Okay. So we'll just do the introduction of this Luptopama and then do the divisions later, next class. Okay. So Luptopama tad bhedascha. Varnya upamana dharmanam upama vachakasya cha eka dvi tri anupadanat bhinna Luptopama ashtadha. There are 8 types of Luptopama. Varnya upamana dharmanam upama vachakasya cha anupadanat. When you do not express anupadanam, upadanam here is expressly said in the shloka. Anupadanam shloke na vidyate tarhi Aprayogaha. Shloke aprayogaha. That is anupadanam. Eka, dvi, tri anupadanat. Either one is not being used in the shloka, which is among the varnya. Varnya here is upameya, upamana, sadharana dharma, and then upama, vachaka shabda. These are the four constituents of Luptopama, of upama. Among these four constituents, if one is not mentioned, or if two of those are not mentioned in the shloka, or if three of those are not mentioned in the shloka, then it is called Luptopama. Then permutation combination, you have 8 varieties. Okay. If 4 are not mentioned, then it is not even an upama. Avladha. Upamana, upameyayoho. So upamana is the upamana here. Varnyam is that which is being described, which is the context, which is your upameya. So upamana, upameya, sadharana dharma, vachakanam, chaturnam madhye, among the 4, ekasya anupadanat aprayogat, or dvayoho anupadanat aprayogat, trayanam va anupadanat luptopama bhavati. Avayava lopat lupta iti anvarthasam. Why do we have the word lupta upama? So upamayaha avayavaha luptaha. So the one of the parts of the upama is not seen. Adarshanam lopaha. You have to be careful. That is why this distinguishes, Luptopama can be distinguished easily from Rupakam based on the definition of Lopa. Vyakarana Shastra Ritya, the definition is Adarshanam Lopaha, not Avidyamanam. It is not present iti nasti. You don't see it, but it is hidden behind some pratyayas or some sort of a veil there. So it is not seen clearly, that's all. So it works in the background. That is why this is always different from Rupakam. There is no such thing, such play in Rupakam. As it goes further, I'll tell you how it is. Because Rupakam is just clearly a metaphor where you are doing an aropa or a superimposition. Right? So there can be an overlap between Luptopama and Rupakam. You will have to always remember the definition of Lupta as in Adarshana. So Varnyam is Upameyam, Avarnyam Upamanam. This is another way of saying, because when you go to higher texts or other texts like Kavya Prakasha or Sahitya Darpanam, you will find these words being used. Varnya Avarnya Yoho. Even here, when you start looking at Rupaka Alankara, they will not give you Upamanam and Upameya. That Upamana and Upameya are samgnya with respect to Upama Alankara. So as you move out of the Upama Alankara, you will have to start thinking in terms of Varnya and Avarnya. Avarnyam is always Upamanam, which is not my context, which I am not going to describe here in the context. Varnya is that which is my context, that which I am going to describe. Okay, so keep this in mind as you move forward. So the 8 varieties are Luptopama. Can someone read this?
Luptopama ashtadha binna tadyata vachaka matra lopat vachaka lupta dharma matra lopat dharma lupta dharma vachakayoho lopat dharma vachaka lupta vachaka upameyayoho lopat vachaka upameya lupta upamana matra
Lopat.
Matra lopat upamana lupta vachaka upamana lopat vachaka upamana lupta dharma upamanayoho lopat dharma upamana lupta dharma upamana vachakanam lopat dharma upamana vachaka lupta iti.
So this is the combination that he gives. The first one is wherein only one is not there. So Eka, Dvi, 3 अनुपादानात् इत्युक्तं तर्हि अत्र एकस्य अप्रयोगात् वाचकस्य अप्रयोगात् वाचकस्य लोपात् वाचकलुप्ता. So the name is very easy to remember because you are only thinking in terms of what is not present. If the vachaka shabda iva is not present, then it is called vachaka lupta. This is also one dharma matra lupta. The next one is dharma vachaka yoho lupta. 2 things are gone. The next is vachaka upamaya yoho lopaha. So again 2 things are gone. Upamana matra lopat. This is only one thing is lost. Then vachaka upama. He goes by Upameya, you have the Upameya and the Dharma. Vachaka is gone. These 3 or 4, these 3, I think, 3 goes with the Upameyam. Then you start with the Upamanam. 1. And then Vachaka, Upamana. Both of these are gone. Dharma and Upamana. This is also 2 things are lost. The last one is all 3 things are not there. Only the Upameya is given. Our example okay, when we go through the example we will know. Okay, so we'll do this Monday.
That anupadanam and aprayogam is, anupadanam is the word itself is not there in the shloka. Aprayogam is even if the word is there, we are choosing to not consider it or something like that.
Not no, he only gives the meaning of anupadana as aprayoga. Anupadanat is equal to shloke aprayogat ityeva.
Okay.
So adil, and we choose to ignore is that you cannot consider in real life example. In a kavyam, you cannot choose to ignore the upameya. The upameya should not be present. But here we will choose to ignore. That is based on because we want to explain these 8 varieties. Okay. Okay.